Everyone, my name is Sharon. I'm a trainer at Parrot Products. In today's session, we are going to be looking at technological tools that can be able to be used in a math lesson for engaging learners. So this session is aligned with the TPEC skills, where we believe that technology can be used to enhance curriculum and technology. Right. Curriculum and pedagogy. So what's happening here is I have selected a few applications maths lesson, but it doesn't mean that the tools that I've stated are the only ones that one can be able to use. So here on this session, the first part that I'm going to look at are platforms to create, share, and collaborate with your learners. So what I did was I looked at so many different applications, and I found that Microsoft Teams and Google Classrooms are easy to incorporate in one's lesson. So I'm going to show you what Microsoft Teams looks like. So let's just quickly come there. So when it comes to Microsoft Teams, one can be able to create their teams depending on either a subject that they are teaching or a particular grade that they are teaching. So here what I did was I created an example where one will be teaching mathematics grade 9. So you can create your teams for mathematics grade 9, and you can add all the grade 9 learners that you are teaching. And then as you are teaching grade 9, maybe you are teaching different grades for grade 9, such that you are having grade 9D and grade 9E. So as you have these different classes, and also you are facilitating a maths club, you can now be able to create channels of the different subgroups of your maths grade 9. This now means if I am on general section is going to be informing all the grade 9s that I have in terms of maybe files that you want to assign to them, or assignments, or their grading. But now, at a particular time, you feel, okay, I just want to communicate with a particular subgroup, which is grade 9D. This is where your channels come into play. Because when you now come to grade 9D, only the learners that are assigned to that particular subgroup or to that particular channel will receive your post and your files. Meaning it's not going to distract all the other different subgroups, and it's only going to be assigned to those particular subsection, which is grade 9, for example, on this particular example. Let's come back to general. So general is where all my grade 9s who are in, as I post information, the first part that you have is just your general posts. If you want to communicate maybe something to do with exams, if maybe you want to tell them that you have posted an assignment, or you have shared some notes in their class notebooks, you can be able to collaborate with your learners here. And if, let's say, for example, you are a teacher and you also have like another teacher who is assisting you on that particular subject, you can add them again in that team, and they can be able to also collaborate and communicate with your learners. Then from your post, you have files where you can create your PowerPoint, your Word, your Excel, and also it links to your OneNote, such that now all the learners will be able to see different files which are grouped on the file section. Then next to your file section, you have your class notebook. So your class notebook, I call it your digital folder. This is where you can now be able to share content with your learners, and you can be able to store that content for later use. So when it comes to your class notebook, you have 3 main sections that you can be able to work with. The first section is your collaboration section. This is a section where you can be able to collaborate with all your learners, and you can share ideas. They can also express their views. So both of you can view and edit on that particular workspace. Then when you come to content library, this is where you can only be able to share. So it might be notes, it might be maybe files that you don't want learners to change. So here you can share, you can edit, but your learners can only be able to view the content without editing. Then also you have a platform where you have a one-on-one with your learners. So here you see each learner has their own platform such that you individually work with them without all the other learners looking at that particular platform. So you can be able to push in their homework. They can be able to also add in their submissions in terms of homework, in terms of quiz, different handouts that you can be able to share, and also class notes. So this is now a one-on-one where you can now be able to help your individual learner without also having all the other learners viewing that. So that is your class notebook. Again, on your teams, you can be able to what? To push assignments to your learners. And as you push your assignments, you can now be able to say, okay, if I come to this particular assignment, how many of my learners have already turned in this assignment? And if they have turned in, you can also be able to see the grading, depending on how you would have structured your assignment. At times, an assignment can be just a general assignment, or you can create a quiz. So it depends on what type of an assignment that you want to create, but you can also be able to feed in assignments and grading into this particular platform. So everything that you want to do, you can be able to do it on there. Sending notes, sending homework, sending assignments, grading their content. And because they are also in the team, instead of pushing via emails, they can already see their grades without you communicating on a one-on-one. And again, the one-on-one is still available. So here you are pushing content, you are sending content, they are also sending their responses. But at times you would want to have like a one-on-one video session with your learners or a grouped video session. You can also use this platform which is called Meet, which allows you to create a video conferencing meeting with your learners who are in a particular team, like that. So this is your Microsoft Teams. And again, I also like this particular tool, which is called Flipgrid. So remember, here we are working online, where at times learners cannot be able to meet each other and introduce themselves face to face. So what happens now is when you are on your teams, you can be able to create a Flipgrid where your learners can introduce themselves to their colleagues, and they can be able to do so using a video recording. So for example, there you can see I have my learner, Paul, who would like to introduce himself, and you can see that again, as he introduced himself, I can also be able to go back and respond, and even the other learners can respond to Paul's introduction in such a manner. Okay, so this is one platform that one can be able to use. Then the second platform that I also found, which is very easy to use and which is nice, is Google Classroom. So if we come to Google Classroom, again, you have like you can sort of like create your classroom depending, again, is it a grade that you want to focus on? Is it maybe for a particular subject? Here, I had a team that I was training on the interactive whiteboard. So we created Duduza Primary School, where now, if I want to collaborate with the educators, I can now be able to pass comments. They can also be able to share their own comments to the content that I will be sending to them, right? So that is where you find under Stream. Then next to Stream, you have Classwork. Classwork, again, this is where you can now be able to share assignments, you can create quizzes, such that now if I come to create there, I can create an assignment, I can create a quiz, I can just send a question to all the people that are in my Google Classroom, I can send material, or I can reuse what I had sent before. So as you assign your classwork there, you'll be able to also add in, let's say for example, you have a rubric that you want to use, you can be able to assign on there. Then you will be able to see that if you come, let's say for example, there, we come to this particular assignment, you can now be able to see all the content that you have. And again, if they have filled in their assignment and they have done their assignment, you can be able to see the grading for that particular assignment. So if you come and see here, the assignment that I had pushed to them, you can see the people who turned in. You can also see, did they do it on time or did they do it later after your submission date, and all the other ones who didn't manage to do the assignment. And here, this is where you can be able to add in all your students. As you have your students there, at times maybe you just want to have a communication with a single student. I can now be able to just come and say, okay, let me come and send an email to student Usi. Or maybe I don't want to just communicate with one student. Maybe I want to select a group of students, and with those group of students, again, I can now be able just to communicate with that particular group. So this is your Google Classroom, which is again a platform where you can create your content, you can share the content, and you can collaborate with your learners. Okay, so moving away from platforms, we looked at Microsoft Teams, we looked at Google Classroom. Let us come to tools to create interactive lesson. So as you can see, I am working on an interactive whiteboard. I can be able to manipulate any application that is on this particular board. So at times, because I can manipulate that, I also want applications and tools that I can now allow either myself or the students to interact with my content whilst I'm teaching a particular subject. So the first tool or application that I want to look at is it's a web tool, which is PHET. So PHET, it allows you to have like different simulations for different subjects, including maths, which we are focusing on today. So if I go to that particular platform, you will see you have like different tools that you can be able to use for different topics. So as I have said when I introduced, this is to enhance the curriculum, the content that you have already taught the learners. So meaning you have taught a particular subject or a particular topic, you can now be able to use this simulation to now show the learners how or like the applications of the content that you have taught them. So here I just want to show you that there are so many different applications that you can choose, and you can now be able to interact with your learners. So if you come to this particular simulation, you can see that you want to show the learners your mixed fractions into shapes. So here I have 1.5, which is my mixed fraction. I now want the learners to come and interact with my content such that they can now build 1.5 using the shapes there. So here the learner will now come and place that, and then the content there, then you will see you can now be able to come and say, okay, this is not correct, because there you can see it's divided into a third. If it's divided into a third, so I can redo there, and then I can take what? The right answer. And learners are now engaging with your content. Yes, you have showed them in figures, in numeric figures, but now they can also be able to express it in shapes. So again, if let's say, for example, I now want to put a different mixed fraction for them to practice again, I can just take this and put it back such that now I can build my mixed fraction with whatever content that I want. So from there, this is my mixed fraction. I can now take that, I can put 1, 2, which are whole. Circle has been computer and install it on your computer. So if we come to GeoGebra, then you can be able to teach algebra in terms of fraction. I mean, in terms of your graphs. You can be able to show geometry, reflection, translation, and that kind of thing. So here you can see that I have a polygon on my board. Now I want to show the learners the concept of reflection using 1 point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select reflection using a point, and I want to reflect point C using reflection point D, such that now I have C1, which is a reflection of C using point D. And I'm going to build my triangle, my polygon, using that reflection point D. So again, now I want to reflect A using reflection point D, and I want to reflect B using reflection point D. So you can see A1, B1, C1, which are the reflection of A, B, C using point D. And because there I have just put my points, I want to build my polygon there. I can now be able to come here and choose segments such that now I can join these points using my segments there. And basically, this is how the learners can be able to see the concept of reflection of a particular polygon using the reflection point D, and it gives you your reflection points A, B, C, and you now have a polygon which has been reflected. So you can use GeoGebra for so many different concepts. Here I'm just showing this particular concept, but you can be able to use it for a variety of things. So let's just come here. Just after GeoGebra, we also have Geobond. Geobond, it still works again using the same concept as GeoGebra, but what I've noticed is Geobond, it's more of for the younger age, where they can now be able to use, like they can build their own shapes, and they can be able to what? To use like elastic to do so. So let me just quickly go to Geobond. So this is my Geobond there, and this is my elastic there. So again, I want to teach that concept of reflection, but here now I'm using a reflection line. So I'm just going to quickly create a straight line. So let's just quickly put a reflection line here. Right. So now, as I put my reflection line there, I first want to put my shape such that the learners can see. So, sorry for that. Let me just quickly do that. So let's just take one elastic there that we are going to join. Maybe let's just join, let's stretch it a little bit. Right. So I'm going to create my shape. Let's just create a triangle again. Right. Let's put that. Right. So this is my triangle. This is my reflection line, or I can call it my mirror line. And then I now want the learners to mirror this particular shape using this line such that they now have like a reflection of this shape. So this is much easier for the younger grade because now they can identify that from the line to there to the first point, they are skipping one unit. So again, if they want to now reflect, they are also going to take their elastic, skip 1 unit, and put their point there. And then, because it's stretching how many points? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm also going to stretch to 4 points like that. So now that is a reflection of that. Now let's go down. You can see you have your point there and using the elastic, and it's going 2 points down, and then you have your last elastic, which is now creating your what? Your last line there. And this is how the learners will be able to interact using this concept. There are so many different assessment tools that one can be able to use. There's Quizlet, which is a part of Microsoft Teams. There's Polo Everywhere. There's SurveyMonkey. There's a lot of different assessment tools that one can be able to use. But here, because I was using the two platforms, your Google Classroom and your Microsoft Teams, I also just decided that it would be really nice if I just add Microsoft Forms and Google Forms. So with Microsoft Forms or Google Forms, you can be able to create your surveys, you can be able to create your quizzes where your learners can either, it can be formative assessment where the quiz, as the learners respond, they are given answers there and then, and they are also told, okay, you are wrong, but this is what you were supposed to select, and that kind of thing. And also, at the end of the day, they can also be able to see what they are grading in terms of the quizzes and so forth. So let's first go to Microsoft Forms. Okay, right. So if you come and you look at your Microsoft Forms, this one, I just wanted to use it as a survey. So at times, maybe as you teach a particular concept, you also want to know if your learners understand that particular concept that you have taught. So here, what I just did was I said, okay, the benefits of a math site visit. How beneficial was your site visit to Sasol plant, right? So the learners can now be able to choose in terms of stars, if it was beneficial from 1, not beneficial, to 5 being the most beneficial. And as you have your question, you can also be able to see the responses of your learners. So for example, there, you can now be able to see, okay, so the learners that have responded on this particular session are 3, and on average, or their average response, it's amounted to what? To 4 stars. But now, I now want to go into individual learners and see what was the response per an individual learner. So you can see here, unfortunately, on this particular forms, it's saying anonymous, but you can always be able to allow your learners to feed in with their names, such that you can now be able to see, okay, one learner said it was very beneficial. What about if I now want to see for learner number 2? Right, so learner number 2 says it was 3 stars, and learner number 3 said it was 4 stars. This helps you to, number 1, review the content that you have taught and see how best you can be able to teach if all the learners said the content was not beneficial. Or you can be able to also review to see that, okay, my lesson was beneficial, this is working really nice. I think I should structure all my lessons in such a manner such that my learners, at the end of the day, learning here has happened. Authentic learning has happened. Right, so that is Google Forms, and sorry, this is Microsoft Forms, and then just next to Microsoft Forms, you can also see you have Google Forms. So again, the concept is the same. You have your Google Forms with questions and responses. So again, here you can see you can categorize your questions in sections. So just in case maybe you are giving your learners questions depending on maybe a topic which has subtopics, so you can now categorize in subtopics. So this will be my first section there, which is general products. And then what I would do is I'll also have my questions which are related to general products, and I can come to another section which is displaying a different concept. So now, if I have used my questions in such a manner, it also means that at the end of the day, my learners who have responded, I can see their response, and I can see their response in average in graph format. So I can already see the median, the range, and the average of how my learners did in a particular question. So this is your average, how your learners responded to a particular question. And then from there on, you can now also be able now to play around with your responses. So this was in summary, but what if I want to see the question which the learners did worst, such that I can address that particular question. So you can now be able to come here and view the responses as per question, and you can also be able to come and view the responses as per your different learners. And this too help you either to identify a question that you need to address or to identify a learner in need, like that. So this is your different assessment tools. Okay, then we come to learner engagement. So learner engagement, again, there are so many tools that you can use, but here I'm going to talk about Class Dojo. So Class Dojo, what it does is it allows you to number one, input in your learners and also invite their parents. This allows you not to just be in an ecosystem where it's only teacher and learner, but it allows you to incorporate the parents or guardian such that they see the performance of their children. So on here, you can be able to reward your learners according to how they were performing in the classroom. It's not just rewarding in terms of like knowing what you have been teaching them, but in terms of also behavior, in terms of helping each other in the classroom, in terms of collaborating. Because if this Class Dojo does not work, it means where you have created a collaboration platform in Microsoft Teams, it's useless. If your learners cannot collaborate, then it means that concept of collaboration, of communicating, of feeling as one is not going to work. So here, Class Dojo, what it does is you can be able to give your learners points, and as you give your learners points, the learner who has the highest points can be given a reward. It might be maybe they are given a badge where they move around with a badge which says the most participating learner or the most teamwork learner, or you can even give them a privilege where they sit in front, or they can choose what they want for their birthday and that kind of thing. So here, when it comes to your learners, you can see that the learners will be having points, accumulating points, depending on what they would have done. So if, let's say, for example, I come to learner Chloe there, you can see I can be able to say, okay, if learner Chloe helped a learner without me telling them to help that learner, I can give learner Chloe a point for helping. And you can see she has accumulated a point. So from there, the learners will be seeing this Class Dojo. The parents will also be seeing the Class Dojo, such that if there's a learner who is also in need of maybe with a troublesome learner or something, you can now be able to have the parents involved, and you invite the parent such that you can have a sit down with the learner, with the parent, and see how you can be able to help that particular learner. So Class Dojo is one of the most tools that I really liked when it comes to engaging with your learners and also engaging with the parents of the learners. Okay, then last but not least, there is, as we always say, when there's maths, there's also fun. So here, what I did was I added a tool where learners can practice maths on their own. So this particular tool is called Maths Mini Game, where you can install it on learners' computers, learners' phones, and tablets, and they can now able to practice mental mathematics. So here it's a game, but as it is a game, you can feed in the learner's name. You can choose the different type of game that you want. So here I'm just going to choose aliens there. You can choose the level or master level, and then from there the learners can be able to do their mental mathematics, but whilst playing a game. So here they have to kill an alien, but for them to kill the alien, they have to do their mental mathematics like that. So 3 plus 5 is equals to 8, 5 minus 4 is equals to 1, 0 plus 5, in such a manner. And from there, as they finish a particular stage, then they progress to a different stage like that. So basically, that is your mini-maths. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this particular video, and I hope you have seen some tools that are very interesting, engaging, that allows you to create interactive content for your learners. Please just leave some comment on this particular video, and thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.